Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. So getting to the cake that I'll be making for this video, I'm gonna go about it a little differently this time. It's not so much based off of like a TV show, anime, or movie, but something that I was thinking about for a long time. But yes, I wanted to do like a vintage style clown, but of course it has to be creepy. This was an idea I had for a very long time. In fact, I had it right after I made my very first cake, which was the Necronomicon. I wouldn't say I'm clown obsessed, but it does draw me in, like the imagery of it does draw me in from time to time. And I do have like a couple of clown items in my home. For instance, this is the entrance to my home, and I have this clown mask that I got from Spirit Halloween, actually. I also have this clown bubblegum machine. Of course, there's no bubblegum in it. The way you take out the bubblegum is you don't put any money in. You can simply move the nose to the side and it should dispense. And so that's kind of terrifying, right? Yes! I fell in love immediately. Then I have this clown piece, which is actually a music box. It looks pretty harmless. It's a little broken, so even more harmless looking. But occasionally it'll start playing music randomly. That's probably because whatever mechanism is in it is not like working smoothly enough, so it doesn't have time to like really finish out that reel that's in the music box, if that makes any sense. I think that's how they usually work. And that really makes it probably the creepiest clown item I have. I'm going to post a couple of pictures of kind of the vibe I'll be going for and what you should expect. But let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with a sketch with a graphite pencil that's way too light for the camera to pick up, but this helps me plan. It's definitely not the final version of what he will look like, but it helps me get a better idea. Sorry if you can hear my laundry machine going, but I got some extra materials at Target and Michael's for my clown cake, and I thought I'd use this box of rainbow confetti cake mix. I feel like it would just add to the fun, whimsical theme. This is actually my second time making anything funfetti. The first time I made my own from scratch, a batter used for my husband's birthday cheesecake, which was super freaking cute. I had this like little derpy frog thing going on. You can probably see a bunch of different versions of it on Pinterest. But this was my first time using it from a boxed cake mix, and I will say I was disappointed. The colors are just really muted and the dots are really tiny. If you have the time to make it from scratch, like using real sprinkles will really help the colors pop. And here it is, fresh out of the oven. I also want to mention that I did add oil to the batter. That's usually what the cake box mix calls for. I tend to leave oil out when it comes to making like really sculpted cakes because oil makes your cake sponge really soft and delicious. And unfortunately, soft is really bad when it comes to making anything with structure, so I leave it out because it leaves the cake really firm. The stuff I was mixing in the bowls before were actually for modeling chocolate, not frosting. Now I'm cutting the cake into extra layers. I cut off the top just so that it's very flat because it'll act as the very base of my clown head that I'll be constructing. And I'm using regular vanilla buttercream frosting. I'm setting aside that cake for now because I want to go ahead and get started on the actual clown head part of the cake, like the main showpiece. I am starting with the wire armature like I do with all of my sculpting projects. And of course I will be making like his head mold out of Rice Krispie treat. I was thinking about making his head out of cake, but because this is the first time I'm really making something that looks mostly human. I had made the Green Knight before. If you haven't seen that video, do check it out. And his whole head ended up looking a little bit squashed. Because of course at that time I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I still think that he came out great, but for this one I only wanted to like place safe bets. I had actually been procrastinating on this clown cake for a long time because I was just worried that I wouldn't be able to pull off like a human face. I'm so used to monsters and creatures, so it was, you know, honestly kind of intimidating, especially at this point when I realized that he's kind of starting to look like Guy Smiley. At least I think that's what his name is. The little reporter guy from the Muppets. I really kind of took this as like a practice round. There's not a lot of color going on with him. He has a different expression than what a normal person would have, which is kind of a challenge, but really now's the best time to start. I can't keep pushing it off. I do have like a lot of projects in my mind based on actual humans. You know, there's so many countless creatures I can create, but there's also like a lot of great human characters in horror, sci-fi, etc. movies. I don't want to limit myself, and what's better than learning something new, right? At this point, I was pretty happy with how he looked. I thought, you know, he looked kind of human. So I thought I'd carry on and start adding other features that were probably a little bit more fun, in my opinion, to make, including his eyeballs, his mouth, his little teeth, his ears, and so on. It's funny how the more I sculpted him, I mean, I got more confident about sculpting humans, but specifically Willem Dafoe. And I love that this made me think of him because I have like 3 different Willem Dafoe ideas going on in my head right now. I think it's that smile, right? He kind of has like a wiry smile that Willem Dafoe has. He has a great sculptable face. Sculptable a word? I don't know, but it's like he's begging to be sculpted. Is Willem Dafoe my muse? Maybe. Okay, I said I was excited to do the ears. I was excited and terrified. Here I am trying to like level them out to make sure that they're even on each side of his head. Ears are really intimidating. There aren't a lot of objects out there that move in its form like an ear, but I think I killed it. This so familiar material that I used to use all the time when I first started out making cakes. Yes, it is fondant. Yes, this package is probably a year old, But that's okay because this stuff is like an army of cockroaches, as in it will not expire. No one can kill it, even when there's a nuclear disaster. This stuff will survive. It is that inhuman. What better time to use it than a cake that's supposed to be all white? This little guy is actually his little clown hat. It's similar to the one that Dumbo wears in his self-titled movie Dumbo. Not much to it, but a very important component of this cake. Now back to the fondant covered sponge. I decided because his head was so freaking heavy and because I knew this cake was so freaking soft, I had to put in some supports, and thankfully Boba Time always gives me like 2 extra straws every time I order with them. I don't know what it is, and God, those poor turtles. But I realized I can use them as supports on my cake, and it was so incredibly successful at doing this. Not having to spend money and buy those overpriced cake dowels and just using these straws, they were a godsend. Okay, so the next step is making the ruffles. I'm actually laughing in this scene right now because I'm watching that Predator movie with Adrian Brody. I realized the really scummy guy in this movie is played by Baby Billy from The Righteous Gemstones, or in my mind, I immediately go to Lee Russell from Vice Principals, one of my favorite shows ever. It's on HBO. Check it out. I gotta plug it. But yeah, he plays scumminess so real. I just love him so much. Anyways, I decided to do 2 main layers of ruffles made out of modeling chocolate, and then fill in those spaces in between the ruffles and like below the second ruffle with a fondant. I just didn't want actual cake showing, and also I love ruffles, so the more the merrier. So he's all pretty much smoothed out now, but I was looking at his bottom teeth and they kind of look like baby teeth. I know I'm not really going for perfect proportions, but they just look a little too small. So I think I'm just gonna just get rid of the back molars. Really focus on the tongue more than having all of his bottom teeth showing. Alright, so the tongue is pretty much fixed, or like the bottom teeth, so he doesn't look so dolphinish anymore. And I think I'm ready to start painting it, which is my favorite step. The big challenge for this guy is that I'm going to have to paint on his like irises and pupils, or whatever you call that spot in the eye, and I'm a little nervous because it's sometimes pretty hard to do like fine details, and I am a bit limited when it comes to the colors I can use. I think I want to make him have like yellowish orange eyes because it is unnatural, and I feel like it would really add to the creepy effect. So we're just gonna see how it goes as per usual. I also got these new paint brushes. They're just from Michael's. They were super cheap, like maybe like 10 bucks. They're watercolor paintbrushes, which I had preferred because, hold on, let me show you. They have like a really, let me do that thing. They have a really like pointy, slim top, which is good for when I go in with details, which I feel like I do a lot of. Immediately I knew that the yellow-orange eyes were a great idea. Even before I put the pupils in, they looked super creepy. In fact, the more I painted them, they kind of reminded me of the Eye of Sauron, right? They look evil. And that's exactly the look I was going for. Probably looks like I'm not doing anything, but there's this very light peachy color I'm brushing on to just his face. I kind of wanted to give the illusion that his skin was a different color than the ball cap he's wearing. And now I'm doing the black detail on the ruffles. Unfortunately, my camera ran out of batteries, so I just have to show you the end product, but I think they looked really great. Next up was painting his lips. I had initially wanted to go with black, and I put a lot of it on. And the more I put on, the more I realized that I didn't really like the look of it. At first, it looked like he had like a weird goatee. And then later I just kept thinking of Terrifier, and I really don't want to go for Terrifier. I even did some eye makeup in red to see what that contrast would look like. And I just wasn't happy with it. And I decided to remove all of his black lipstick. Gel food dye is like tar. I know I'm making it look really easy, but the more I took off, the worse it got. I kind of gave up and started painting his lips red, and I realized that's not enough to cover up the ugly black smudge marks, so I gave him a whole new set of lips and bottom teeth and started over. And that was kind of painful, but the last thing I'm gonna do is make his smile, which is like the main part of his face, besides maybe his yellow eyes, look crappy. So it's best that I redid it. On top of that, instead of red eye makeup like I had originally thought, because that kind of gave me too much like it Pennywise the Clown, I decided to go with black and then also add some extra black makeup details. And here he is all finished. And here is the cake slice, looking pretty good, not too shabby. And now to taste test. Tastes way better when you put oil in the cake batter. You really need that fat. And that was my creepy clown cake. I really enjoyed the whole process, and I do love how he turned out. More projects like that are on the horizon. I will say it is now officially summer. It has yet to hit 90 degrees where I'm living, but it is oppressive and I hate it. And I don't have central air, which means that it's kind of a nightmare to use the oven. So even though I just jumped back into cakes, I might just take another step back and keep using Rice Krispie Treat sculptures. But I will say a lot of the products I have in mind in the immediate future are like Studio Ghibli, a lot more of those, anime, manga type, you know, weeb type stuff. So if you're a fan of those, please subscribe. If you're not, still please subscribe, because I have a lot of horror and sci-fi as well. Please tell all your friends and share this video, or share whatever video that you fancy. I would really appreciate it, to everybody who subscribed so far and commented and liked. It means the world to me. I'm a very small, tiny channel. Also, if you have any cakes or chocolate sculptures you'd like to see me make, more on the nerdy, creepy side, please leave a comment below. I definitely like to hear what you guys have to say, and you know, I always like to grow my to-do list. All right, so please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.